Welcome back to Football Daily, where today we're bringing you 10 of the weirdest rumours we've seen doing the rounds this summer. Let's get into it. 10. Adama Traore to West Ham. Adama Traore has established himself as one of the Premier League's prime ball carriers, averaging 4.6 dribbles per 90 since he became a regular starter for Wolves at the beginning of the 2019-20 campaign. And even in a down year, he could prove an interesting target for some sides, as his club weigh up selling the 25-year-old, with Liverpool and Chelsea reportedly eyeing up this La Masia graduate. One club linked with the Spanish international that probably don't need him are West Ham, who already have an abundance of attacking talent at the club, with the likes of Bowen, Benrahma and Yarmolenko fighting for minutes at the Olympic Stadium. But boss David Moyes isn't eyeing up Traore as another winger, but instead as a centre forward. Moyes does have a good track record for converting wingers to strikers, as seen with Mikel Antonio and Marko Arnautovic. However, Traore has scored just 10 goals in 131 matches with Wolves, and with his asking price expected to be in the £40 million range, it's a large price to pay for another experiment. We're sure Hammers fans would rather the money was spent on a proven goalscorer instead. 9. Bernardo Silva to Barcelona. Let's be honest, Barcelona being linked with any notable players this summer is eye-opening. After all, their finances are horrendous, having to shed some €200 million from their annual wage budget just to comply with La Liga's FFP regulations, and that was before Lionel Messi put pen to paper on a new deal. If they don't, then they can't register the signings they've already made, including free transfers Sergio Aguero and Memphis Depay. With a reported €1 billion of debt, the thought of the Blaugrana actually spending money to bring a player to the Camp Nou seems particularly far-fetched, yet they are still paired with top talent from across the continent, including Lorenzo Insigne and Bernardo Silva. This is despite the latter being one of Pep Guardiola's favourite players at Manchester City. The Portuguese international, who won City's Player of the Year in their domestic treble-winning season of 2018-19, is reportedly open to a move away from the Etihad, but Barca are only willing to offer players in order to get around their financial restrictions. Problem is, Pep isn't interested in anyone they're offering. It could be a long summer for Ronald Koeman's side. 8. Harry Winks to Manchester United. There's no hiding the fact that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is after a central midfielder for his Manchester United team next season. They have been long linked with West Ham's Declan Rice, but even before starring at Euro 2020 for England, his asking price was some £80 million. Unlikely United will buy him after they splashed almost that amount on Jadon Sancho instead. On the prowl for a cheaper option, they appear to be interested in signing Harry Winks. With an asking price of £30 million, it's hard to see how a player on the fringes last season would be the answer to the midfield problems at Old Trafford. The 25-year-old was limited to just 6 starts and 15 total Premier League appearances, and in just over 800 minutes had no goal involvements. Scott McTominay has made the position at the base of Ole's midfield his own, and it's difficult to believe that the fans there would take to Winks at the expense of the Scotsman, who has been at the club since he was 5. And while Spurs' new sporting director Fabio Paratici wants rid of Winks, it would be bizarre to see him line up in the kit of a rival Big Six club. 7. Emile Smith Rowe to Aston Villa. Just days after pinching Emi Buendia from under the noses of Arsenal, Aston Villa decided their next move in the transfer market should be to go after one of the Gunners' hottest prospects in Emile Smith Rowe. A bold move considering they'd never shown any intention of selling the 20-year-old, who was amongst the best performers at the Emirates since Christmas. With the Jack Grealish to Manchester City rumours in full swing, it seemed sensible that Dean Smith was looking to replace him before having to pay a Grealish money premium. However, the owners at Villa Park have shut down any talk of a move away for their hometown hero, meaning if they complete the signing of ESR, they'd be overwhelmed with players in that area of the pitch. But that didn't stop them making a £25 million opening offer, before bumping it up to £30 million as Arsenal were sent scrambling to try and renew their youngster's contract, despite never believing that he'd actually swap London for Birmingham. And with the expectation that Emile Smith Rowe will be a key member of Arteta's squad this season, it makes the attempted move seem all the more bizarre. 6. Jesse Lingard to AC Milan. As 2021 rolled around, Jesse Lingard was nothing more than an afterthought at Manchester United. The 28-year-old featured for less than 1,000 minutes for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in 2019-20 and hadn't even featured for a minute in the league last campaign when West Ham picked him up on loan for the remainder of the season, scoring 9 goals and setting up 5 in his brief stint in East London as he led David Moyes' side into Europe. It's unsurprising that the England international found himself on many a club's shortlist. One team that no one expected to see linked with Lingard though is AC Milan, and as bizarre as this connection is, it almost makes sense. The Rossoneri are after a hard-working attacking midfielder after Hakan Çalhanoğlu's departure, something that Lingard showed he could be when he moved to West Ham. With more and more English footballers taking the plunge abroad, it'd be exciting to see another one rise to the challenge. However, with Man United considering keeping the £30 million rated player and a number of other clubs interested, it's hard to see this move actually going forward. 5. Tottenham's managerial crisis. While strictly speaking this isn't a transfer rumour, it's worth talking about some of the outlandish names that were linked with taking the managerial role at Tottenham Hotspur in a post-Jose Mourinho landscape. Interim boss Ryan Mason was ultimately replaced by former Wolves manager Nuno Espirito Santo, but that came after almost 3 months of searching. Perhaps the 2 names that raised the most eyebrows, and for very different reasons, were Antonio Conte and Maurizio Pochettino. Conte, of course, is a former Chelsea manager and had just won Serie A with Inter Milan, but Daniel Levy wasn't willing to succumb to the Italian's demands, which saw him withdraw from the running. As for Poch, rumours were he wasn't happy at PSG and was open to returning to North London less than 2 years after his initial departure. However, a contract extension from the French Giants put an end to that. Brendan Rodgers, Julian Nagelsmann and Erik ten Hag all turned down the job too, whilst Paulo Fonseca and Gennaro Gattuso also missed out on the role. Even Nuno turned down Spurs' advances in April before taking the job ahead of pre-season. A stressful summer for Spurs fans indeed. 4. Richarlison to Real Madrid. When Richarlison made the switch from Watford to Everton in 2018 for a fee that could rise to £50 million, many thought the Brazilian was criminally overpriced, but his 3 years on Merseyside has seen him develop into one of the Toffees' most important players. But regardless, when Barcelona put in an £85 million bid for him in January 2020, it seemed like a rogue move. Well, fast forward 18 months, and with the Blaugrana in financial disarray, it's their El Clasico rivals, Real Madrid, that are now being linked with the 24-year-old, who is currently in Tokyo for the Olympics, just a fortnight after starting every game for the Seleção and the Copa America. The connection here is of course Carlo Ancelotti, who managed Richarlison at Goodison Park over the last 2 campaigns. But with the attacker's contract not expiring until 2024 and Everton already turning down large offers, it's crazy to think that Los Blancos would be putting up the money required to sign him, especially if they have an eye on next summer with Erling Haaland, Kylian Mbappe and youngster Eduardo Camavinga all expected to be on the market. 3. Robert Lewandowski to Manchester City. It's no secret that Manchester City are after a striker, linked with a move for Spurs' Harry Kane long before it was announced that club legend Sergio Aguero would be leaving the Etihad, and with Gabriel Jesus failing to consistently hit Pep Guardiola's high standards, it appeared inevitable that this summer would see the England captain trade white for sky blue. But with Levy playing hardball as normal, wanting some £150 million for their star man, City are starting to shift focus elsewhere. One name that has sprung out of nowhere is Robert Lewandowski, a player that helped Pep win 7 trophies during his time in Bavaria. However, it's hard to imagine Bayern Munich letting their talisman leave anytime soon, even considering his current €350,000 a week contract, which has 2 years remaining. He might be turning 33 in August, but Lewa has just broken the long-standing Bundesliga goal-scoring record at the Allianz Arena. Money might not be an issue for the citizens, but sometimes some players are simply unattainable, and you have to say that Lewandowski is one of those. 2. Griezmann and Saúl swap deal. Now, as much as we know that Barcelona are in the process of trying to shed some of their players and their salaries that come with them, it seems remarkable that they are already prepared to move on Antoine Griezmann, a player they spent €120 million on just 2 years ago. But even more surprising than that, it looked like he would be returning to Atletico Madrid, with one of their fan favourites heading in the opposite direction. Saul Niguez, who has been a rojiblanco since the age of 14 and made over 300 appearances for the club, has fallen out of favour under Diego Simeone, despite the fact he signed a 9-year deal with the club back in 2017. So with Saúl looking for a way out and Griezmann on over €500,000 a week, it could actually be a win-win for both clubs, despite the outrageousness of the deal. However, negotiations have since stalled and it's looking like Saúl will be moving elsewhere in the coming weeks, meaning Griezmann might stay put after all. But the fact this deal was so close to completion was nothing short of mind-boggling. 1. Philippe Coutinho. Sticking along the Barcelona theme for our number 1 entry, Philippe Coutinho has been amongst those most likely to leave the Camp Nou this summer, just 3.5 years after becoming the club's record signing, when they spent €135 million to bring him to La Liga from Liverpool. And whilst this in itself isn't a shock, the teams reported to be interested in him certainly was. It was only a year ago that the 29-year-old impressed on loan at Bayern Munich, where he contributed 20 goals in less than 2,000 minutes, including 2 goals and an assist against his parent club in a 14-minute cameo when the German side beat Barcelona 8-2 in the Champions League quarter-final. This season though has been less successful, suffering a knee injury in December that ruled him out for the season. So to now see the Brazilian linked with the likes of Everton, Leicester City and Wolves, as well as former club Liverpool, certainly raises some eyebrows. Then there's the suggested fee, believed to be in the region of £20 million, which seems remarkably low, although Barcelona will almost certainly take what they can get for Coutinho in this window. So those were our 10 weirdest transfer rumours this summer. Have we missed any others out though? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, then click on screen right now for more Football Daily content, and as always guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.